I'm Dr. Shirley M. Mueller, guest curator for the exhibit, Elegance from the East, New Insights into Old Porcelain. A visitor comes into the exhibit. The objective is to see how it relates to the visitor today, how the motives of the visitor today and feelings are similar to those of people 400 years ago. And what happened to them is what happens to us. Pleasure, pain, they wanted profit, they had miscommunication, they anticipated learning, they anticipated good things happening to them. All of these things are covered in this exhibit and how they relate to us today. The Garniture Gallery contains garnitures, which are basically sets of porcelain that would be used to decorate a home. The idea is to show the visitor how these beautiful pieces gave people hundreds of years ago pleasure, just as we gain pleasure today when we decorate our own home. And the more it pleases us, the more the area above our eye will be stimulated. And it has direct communication with the pleasure center, which is deep in our brain.
I think what Shirley is doing here with this exhibition is something quite new and innovative. She is a great scholar of Chinese export ceramics, but she also is a neuroscientist. And she's using both of her skills in the effort to create a dynamic exhibition for the Indianapolis Museum of Art.
We're trying to turn exhibitions into experiences that go far beyond that passive experience. So adding that bit of science to the exhibition, adding the smell of tea, those kind of things, all help us turn what could be a fairly staid exhibition into an experience that a lot broader audience might choose to enjoy.
Gallery 2 is the Iranian Burg Palace. We see a young girl, Louisa Henriette, who was forced at age 19 to leave her native country, the Netherlands, and to go to Germany. How she must have felt pain, probably felt isolated and alone and unhappy. Many of us just throw ourselves into activity, and that's what Louisa did. She built a palace in Dutch style, like her home. And she created rooms that had porcelain in them. The porcelain reminded her of home as well because her parents were importing this porcelain from China into Holland. Gallery 3 is miscommunications, misunderstandings, mishaps. The Europeans wanted to order porcelains that would represent themselves. The Chinese weren't familiar with Christian symbols. They weren't familiar with armorials that represented families. They weren't familiar with Dutch writing or English writing. One well-known mistake is a dobré, where the Englishman wrote red where he wanted red on his armorial, green where he wanted green on it. But instead, the red was painted green, but the red was included. And for the green, it was painted rose, but the green was included. Because the Chinese person was trying so hard to do a good job that he fastidiously included the writing, which he couldn't understand, obviously.
I suspect in the 18th century, when that long-awaited crate of porcelain arrived, and then to have to open it up and realize that the Chinese enamelers had misunderstood what you had wanted must have caused a tremendous amount of pain.
Gallery 4 has to do with dating antiques, particularly Chinese export porcelain. What we see in this exhibit would be from 1643 onward. Among the pieces that survived the shipwrecks are some that were in vulnerable parts of the ship, so the water would be flowing over them, and with time you could actually see wearing away of the decoration. There are two kinds of decoration. underglaze blue, and then gold and red, which is over the glaze. And with the wearing away of the water, the overglaze will wear off, and that's called a ghost decoration. Gallery 5 is Pronk Designs. The Dutch East India Company, it had a corner on the market in the 1600s. They were making money, they were happy. But come 1700, other countries are entering the market in a big way. What do you do when you lose market share? You worry. They were worried. So one of them had the idea that if they hired a man called Pronk, who was a designer in Amsterdam, to make designs to send to China, that these designs would appeal to a mass market. When they did this, they were anticipating regaining that profit. And actually, anticipation of what we desire stimulates our pleasure center deep in our brain even more than getting what we desire. And that applies to us today. Thinking about what we want is actually more pleasant than getting it. Tea, coffee, and wine is so suitable for the last gallery because it talks about social events. And social events make us happy. Again, they stimulate our pleasure center. So the pieces in here are exceptional because they tell a story. And they're intellectually interesting.
Why does this matter? Being able to connect that, what is happening in a museum, to our own personal lives is the fundamental way that I think people do see the relevance and can get greater enjoyment out of their museum experience.
Personal experience makes it real. If you go to the Lily House and go upstairs and see this wonderful show, it gives you a little bit of taste of the wide variety and diverse things that you can do here on this incredible campus.
The most important thing that I would like visitors to learn is that these pieces are not just old pieces and historically important, but that they relate directly to the visitor, because the visitor shares a commonality with the people that lived 400 years ago, that gathered these pieces, that made these pieces, that treasured these pieces. We're the same today.